Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Warhoundcast. I'm joined with Nathan again,
Hello.
and this week we're finishing off our look at Faith and Fury, and this time we're just looking at the Chaos stuff, each of the various legions which are in the book. But before that, I guess we normally like to start off with what we've been up to hobby-wise. I'm going to start first this week because mine is really quick. I did nothing at all because I've been ill. I painted about 3 blue dots on some vibro cannons, and that's it.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot.
I know, it's incredibly amazing, isn't it? What about you?
I've also not done too much. I've basically I've been actually working the last 2 weeks, so I haven't had a lot of time for hobby stuff, but I managed to get out a Hellwright on a Dark Abeyant, which I needed for a battle report, which we did 2 days ago.
The model looks really cool, I have to say. Sorry.
Thanks. Against Dennis's Necrons, so yeah, I've done that, and yeah, other than that, I haven't really done anything. I received a huge delivery all in one go of all the rest of my Tyrannid eBay rescue army, so that's exciting. So I'll have that to work on as well.
Cool
I'm just
stuff.
currently the Patriarch that I got that I was going to be using as Broodlord has the reason why he was on eBay so cheap was because he's missing like most of his talons. They must have dropped it and broken them off or something. So I'm trying to redo them, but it's not going very well.
Well, fingers crossed the rest of it goes easier.
Yeah, well, I'm just I've decided just to stick some green stuff on the ends of the broken talons and then wait for it to dry and then shape them afterwards, which should be much easier.
Cool stuff. Yeah, so I guess straight on to Faith and Fury. We start the Chaos stuff with just they get a sort of a generic update of or correlation of various rules and things they've had in other publications, mostly in FAQs to start with. So they get Malicious Volleys, which is the beta bolter rule for Chaos. So they can double shoot their bolters at long range rather than just in rapid fire range. Their Terminators can do it at full range, etc. Hateful Assault, which is the same as Shock Assault. So first round of combat, essentially, they get +1 attack. And their Demolisher cannons for their Vindicator tanks go up to a D6 profile rather than D3, which is quite a nice change. I don't think it's enough to make them useful, but we've seen already tank commanders, which essentially got the same buff, have become quite popular. And I quite like those anyway, not as much as the battle cannons, so they tend to see competitive play over the Demolisher. But I quite like them anyway. So, yeah, it's a nice little mini buff for Chaos, just making them official.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't they didn't just give them one rule like Space Marines. Because obviously Space Marines, all of these rules are just a part of Angel of Death now.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah. So they could have just done that, but yeah, they've just still split it into loads of different rules, but yeah, it's just kind of made it all legit now.
Finally, they got some demon weapons, which are essentially relics. I'm not sure. Well, they've got their own little rule on top of relics, which is when you choose to fight with the model, you roll a d6. On a 1, the model suffers 1 mortal wound and cannot use the weapon further that phase. On a 2+, the model can fight as normal, and quite often that 2+ also triggers like a secondary ability. So, yeah, it's cool, it's thematic. The fact they can't use the weapon at all if they roll a 1 is huge, and you've always got to save a CP for that one, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of it's basically how Dracnian works, isn't it?
Yeah, which is also a demon weapon, which is Abaddon's weapon for those who aren't familiar. Yeah, it's demon weapons have been in Chaos books since as long as I've been playing, and seeing them come back is good, especially as 2 or 3 of them are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are a couple which are, yeah. But hey.
I can't. I don't think I can take any of them in my Red Corsairs.
Why not? Just because you don't have the.
I don't think it's applicable to Chaos Legions that aren't in this book.
I think it is. I think it's just. Yeah, just if your army's led by Chaos Space Marine warlords, you can give one to the Chaos Space Marine character. I don't think it's limited to
That's
world
interesting.
eaters and etc.
Because quite my army anyway is quite there's not a lot of relics that you can take. I mean, the only one that I take is the intoxicating elixir for extra strength and attacks.
Yeah, the Chaos relics are quite old and outdated.
Yeah.
And apart from the elixir, there's not a lot of good ones in there. There's the advance and charge on a Khorne model, which is pretty handy.
Yeah, the talisman of burning blood.
Yeah, but there's not a lot. So you tend to take the free one and leave it there.
Yeah.
So go for demon weapons, and I think it's fair to say, however I pronounce these are going to be pronounced wrong. So the first one.
I think you could probably just say the end.
The Boundless. Well, yeah, I think that's a better idea. We're going to start with the Boundless, which is a each model only, and replaces a power sword, a hellforged sword, or a force sword. And it is all of these are melee weapons. It's strength user, AP3, damage D3. But when making an attack with this weapon, you can't take invulnerable saves. It's alright. I think the bigger problem with this is I wouldn't take a model just for this relic. There are matchups where I might take this model, I might take this weapon, but I don't think I'd have as each model with anything apart from a force sword or a sorcerer, perhaps.
Yep.
And then he's not the sort of model I want for this weapon.
Yeah, and then if you're taking a sorcerer, you probably take Death X anyway.
Yes, or you've always got the CP to swap it out for Chaos.
Yep.
Really nice. So that goes in the quite nice, but probably not taken category. It's nice to have though, because if there is a big metagame shift where loads of characters with storm shields or whatever start running up the board, then having access to this seems like really, really nice thing.
Yep.
But at the moment, I don't think you go for it over anything else. Because I think that the question is, why would you take these on a prince over, say, dual claws? Or why would you take it instead of a Thunderhammer on a Chaos Lord? And I think, as a sort of base standard to me, that I don't think this beats either of those.
Yep.
So next up, we have the Rapacious Talons. Slaanesh model only with 2 Lightning Claws or 2 sets of Malefic Talons. It is Strength User, AP2, Damage 2, so matches the Malefic Talons base already. Its ability is when resolving an attack roll with this weapon, you can re-roll the wound roll, and when rolling for the weapon's demon weapon ability, on a 2+, you can make a number of additional attacks equal to the result with the weapon this phase. And this is just brilliant.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's a flat upgrade to Talons. You might be taking a Slaanesh Prince anyway to make use of the elixir. If you're taking a Slaanesh Prince, you're taking the double Talons. It's brilliant. You might even be tempted to run a sort of, I view him as a sort of Night Lord, a Raptor Lord with Lightning Claws for this. I still think it's probably better on the Demon Prince, but hey, it's nice to have the option.
There is something else you can do with this as well. So if you put it on you can make a pretty decent. You've obviously got the Chain Lord, which is the is it Black Legion
Yep.
that can do it? Yeah. You can basically make a Chain Lord for anyone with these, because you get the extra attacks on the 2-up. So actually, you could potentially have a Chaos Lord with like 9 attacks base.
Yeah.
And then you just give him the relic that 6s deal mortal wounds on a wound roll, and then obviously you get the reroll 1s to hit and reroll all wounds on him as well. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, that re-rolling wounds is huge. And to be honest, even without it, the just probable D6 extra attacks might make it interesting. But re-rolling the wound roll just turns it from
a demon damage is good as well.
Yeah, just really, really good weapon. So next up we have the Ralphal, which is the Corn's relic. Replaces a power sword or hell-forged sword. It is strength user, AP 5, damage 2. When rolling for the demon weapon's ability on a 2+, add a number to this weapon's strength characteristic equal to the result until the end of the phase. Kind of fun. I think this is more useful on a Chaos Lord than on the Prince that's trying to get above that trying to get to that 5, 6, 7 threshold of strength, so it's wounding infantry on 3s, 2s. I don't see a use for this on the Prince. Just take 2 talons. But I'm not overly sold by the weapon, if I'm honest. I like it, but it's AP5 seems a bit overkill. Worth pointing out that Centurions are a thing, obviously. But even then, damage 2, is that really what you want? It's good. It's a matchup dependent thing. You quite often have a Khorne character anyway. Not sure they'd have a sword or a Hellforged sword, to be honest, but it's a nice to have.
Yeah, for me, it's just the strength user again.
Yeah. If it was damage 3, I'd be more impressed with it. But
yeah, if it was damage 3, then it'd definitely be worth considering.
Fair. Next up, the Nurgle relic, which has generated a bit of buzz already. It's replaces it's a Nurgle model with a Power Fist, and it is strength times 2, AP 3, damage 3. When resolving for an attack made with this weapon, subtract 1 from the hit roll, and a unmodified wound roll of 2+ is always successful.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not sure why you've got the strength characteristic there.
Yeah, it could make your strength 1 and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some weird, funky interactions there they wanted to get rid of, but yeah, it's just a really good relic. The only problem I have with it is that it's tied to a Nurgle model.
Yeah.
And if you're taking a Nurgle model with a fist, you always take this relic. It's weird because Nurgle and Zeech have a slight problem in the current Chaos book in my head, that a lot of their buffs and things are in Death Guard and Thousand Suns book rather than the Chaos Space Marine book.
Yeah.
So they tend to have fewer abilities and synergies, or fewer incentive to have abilities and synergies than Khorne or Slanesh. But still, it's a really good relic, and yeah. Just have a quick look to see if Chaos Space Marine. I don't actually know if Death Guard have access to this relic.
I don't think they would do.
I don't think they would do. Yeah, it's in the Demon Weapons section. It has to be from Codex Chaos Space Marine, which is a shame because I don't see why Death Guard shouldn't have access to this relic in many ways. But hey, there we are.
I guess if you were the Purge player, then you should be happy about this. But yeah.
Yeah. Although to be fair, I don't think Purge characters typically got involved in the
it
hunting.
was just Purge, there it is.
Yeah.
And that was it, really.
Yeah, a Chaos Lord for reroll 1 Zora, maybe.
Yeah.
You have him for that, but yeah. And finally, we have the Black Axe, which is really terrible. It replaces a power axe, a force axe, or demonic axe. It is strength user, AP 0, damage 1. Thankfully, it does have an ability. When resolving an attack made with this weapon, an unmodified wound roll of 4+ inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any other damage.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I would consider it had it had the same ability where like you gain extra attacks on the roll.
Yes. Yeah, I think this needs either extra attacks, otherwise you're capped out at 4 typically. I guess 5 on the charge nowadays. Or if it was just a wound roll of 4+, so you got rid of that unmodified part, when you could then start to stack veterans onto it, or the +1 to wounding combat from the Chaos Chaplain.
Yeah.
It gets marginally more interesting, but yeah, I think you look at any of the above relics for anything, or probably just keep the axe that you replace for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a demon prince swapping out a damage 3 axe for this weapon. It just feels really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be taking this.
But it's fun and it's there. And yeah, maybe if you're playing against someone with amazing invuln saves all rounds on their army, even then I think you stick with the axe. So that's the demon weapons. We've got Legion upgrades. So they get some traits, they get some stratagems, and they get some artifacts. They also get some tactical objectives and a name generator, neither of which we will cover. They're not the most interesting things in the world. Although it's worth saying with Chapter Approved, there is now a stack the deck mechanic in a lot of the things, so tactical objectives may be a bit more relevant than they have been for a while, but I can't see tournaments and things going back to Elstrom, although they're good fun.
Yeah.
So, word bearers start off. Word bearers, I think it's fair to say, I've seen 0 competitive play in absolutely any setting ever.
Yeah.
They have a really terrible trait, which is just essentially they get the Space Marine. You can re-roll a d6 for morale tests. Woo, yay.
Yep, it's terrible.
And that's it. And they don't even get it on, not that any of these things would benefit it, but they don't get it on Mauler Fiends or anything like that, which is a shame that Chaos still don't have that. But yeah, well, can't have everything. Well, Chaos Ghost, you can't have most things. So, Warlord traits. First one is Voice of Lorgar. Adds 3 to the range of the Warlord's aura abilities. I'm not bothered by this one personally.
No.
Yeah.
Generally because you can't, like, maybe if you could get like full rerolls.
Yeah, I don't think there's any aura ability worth extending for Chaos, to be honest.
Yeah.
And again, I tend to think of something that adds 3 to the range is more useful than a static gunline.
Yeah.
And Chaos, even Iron Warriors or the more shooting legions, I still have a lot of combat focus, so this is a straight pass for me. Especially as well, it's worth pointing out that as a general, Chaos only have access to 1 Warlord trait, and I think it's only Alpha Legion that get the ability to add a second. So the opportunity cost is pretty high for this.
Yeah.
Next up, Exalted Possession. Warlord gains Possessed and Demon keywords, if they don't already have it. Add 1 to Strength attacks. Add 1 to Strength attacks. Add 1 to the Strength and attacks characteristics of this Warlord, and add 1 to its move. This is really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's slightly weird that you can possess a Demon Prince now. Feels like that shouldn't be a thing, but hey, cool. Super Murder Demon Prince. Super Murder Disco Lord.
Yep.
But I think as well the fact that the possessed keyword, it's got a couple of little stratagem effects these days, but the demon keyword being able to get some of the demon auras is probably more valuable. The extra movement is nice, if not that impressive. But yeah, it's just a really good trait.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Uh,
I'm just trying to think of anything you can use that with. I mean, it's just, in general, it's just decent.
It's decent, and the keywords thing, I think, drives it really nicely, because it allows things like if you've got the right demon auras to get an additional strength from a corn, or I think you can advance and charge with the Slanesh one. So having access to that is a very nice thing. And there's probably some really weird combo out there that wasn't intended and works very powerfully. But next on the list, we've got Demonic Whispers. If your army is battle forged, roll a d3. You gain a number of command points equal to the result. In addition, once per battle, if your warlord is on the field, you can re-roll a single hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, or saving throw. Yeah, it's fine. This kind of goes in the, if I don't have a good warlord trait, I'll pick this one.
Yeah.
But it's more useful on a sort of, I think, a guard style character where they sit in the back and not contribute, whereas a lot of the chaos characters you tend to want to go up in people's face and smashing things. Yeah, if you got a sorcerer or something, seems pretty good though.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that you always look out for when you've got a strat to give you an extra warlord trait, because you can just pay one to basically gain D3. But without the option of paying for another warlord trait, it's good. Like, if you don't have anything else, but you're probably going to pick something else.
Yeah.
So
next up is Master of Union. Add 1 to the attack characteristic of models in friendly word bearers demon units, whilst their unit is within 6 of this warlord. Yeah. It seems.
Didn't someone run a massive unit of normal possessed?
Yeah, so
really well with this.
I think if this is the list that won us a tournament recently, it was a Alpha Legion blob of possessed, not word bearers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I do remember it.
And it's interesting because when I first saw all this thing, I was going to make a prediction that possessed was so bad no one would be able to make them work. And before I even got a chance to say that, someone's made them work. So yeah, so I think this essentially applies to possessed, demon engines, obliterators, mutilators. I think if you're taking this for mutilators, you've got massive problems. But
Are mutilators even a thing now? I thought you couldn't take them anymore.
No, they still exist.
Oh, right, okay.
If you ever want to laugh, compare their profile to an assault centurion. But, this one's okay. It's a nice buff. I think because I'm so biased and against possessed, I kind of look at this and go, whatever. But I think it's worth pointing out as well that on a possessed bomb, this is quite a good trade.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Diabolist. When this warlord would lose a wound, roll a d6. Add 3 to the result if that wound would be lost as the result of a mortal wound. On a 6+, that wound is not lost. So a 6 up feel no pain, which is a 3 up feel no pain against mortal wounds.
Yeah, it's all right, but again, it's a bit sort of meh.
Yeah, because it's worth pointing out the Chaos book has +1 wound and a 6 up feel no pain. So if you want this, it's specifically for the mortal wounds. And you don't really want your warlord tanking mortal wounds anyway.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can see this is on is as a Psyker perils protection.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think the next one actually does it much better. So
Yeah.
the final one is Sacrilegious Regeneration. Add 1 to this Warlord's wound characteristic. At the start of your turn, this Warlord regains up to D3 lost wounds.
That's pretty good.
I'm not a fan of it. Just
I
because
like
I
it.
think
I like it purely if you were gonna slap it on a Demon Prince.
I was thinking Disco Lord personally.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, you could go for
So
that as well.
the Disco Lord would be regenerating D3 plus 1 wounds,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
sounds really nice. But I think the issue is that the character just gets targeted and killed from full anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe on a prince bobbing in and out of combat and sort of shrugging off minor damage.
Mhm.
But not a fan of that one either, to be honest. I think Exalted Possession and Master of the Union are the two best ones on the word bearers.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So next up, we've got their word bearer stratagems. We have their book one, which allows you to ignore mortal wounds when summoning.
Woohoo!
I don't like summoning as a mechanic. I see why it could be theoretically very good, but I don't want to bring 60 spare demon models to a game so I can tech in 20 of them.
Yeah.
So when it's I think when summoning things are quite powerful, it's when it's a very quite kind of a small number of points but an impactful role. So the assassin ones being a quite good example.
Yeah.
They're a very specific role for a matchup, and you can pay 2 CP and 85 points free in there. So I don't like this, as it doesn't make the summoning. It makes something safer, not more reliable. So it's this kind of again goes in the sure whatever category.
Yeah.
But the next one doesn't, and is really really cool. So Malevolent Content. Use this in the psychic phase when you fail a psychic test. The power is automatically manifested at the minimum requirement. It doesn't count as a double having been rolled, and it cannot be resisted by the Deny the Wish. After the effects have been resolved, the psychic suffers 1 mortal wound. And this is just amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's weird as well that you kind of want your psychic to be failing tests now.
Yeah, so that you can get
through.
the ignore. Yeah, so that you can get the ignore, deny the witch.
Yeah, but having this on FX.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, because FX casts on a 8, so you've got quite a reasonable chance of failing, and then you just use this to get it through. Or if it goes off, your opponent's got to roll at least a 9 to deny it, unless they've got any sort of buffing things themselves. But yeah,
it makes it quite reliable.
Yeah,
in word bearers anyway.
Yeah, this is a reason to take a word bearer's character or characters right here. I still think you probably end up going to Thousand Suns for your psychic needs, just because of their smite and things. But yeah, this is just a brilliant strategy. So next up we have Apostle of the Dark Council, which allows you to select a word bearer's priest, and they know an additional prayer and can chant an additional prayer. This is really good. It's once a battle, and it's essentially the Space Marine strategy, which is a bit salty. But
yeah, although it's on a 2-up if you take the Dark Disciples. So
yes,
I'd like when we were looking at the Space Marine one, I was like looking at that, still going like, yeah, but it's on a 3-up. But this actually, like, I'd happily take, like, if this was a Chaos Space Marines all around stratagem, I'd pay for this on my Red Corsairs every single time.
Oh yeah, no question. And it is a shame that this is limited to a weak Chaos Legion as well.
Yeah.
Although you do see with these two stratagems in particular that it does give a interesting reason to run a supreme command of word bearers.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it is a shame that Chaos in general don't have access to this one, but oh well.
That's actually quite interesting that you mentioned that, because I could just do that straight away. Because I don't lose anything from getting rid of my Red Corsair's Supreme Command with all my little characters. Like, so it's got my Dark Apostle, Master of Possessions, and my Sorcerer. So I could like make sure that Cursed Earth goes off like every time.
The only thing I just had a quick look up, the Chaos litanies, as it were, Chaos prayers, are Legion locked. So, because I was kind of curious if you could get a word bearer's priest chanting out prayers for a more useful Legion, but that's not an option except for on himself, so you don't really care.
Really? Because it says it just knows an additional prayer from the prayers to the Dark Gods.
Yeah, but the prayers themselves, you pick a Legion unit to benefit from. So yeah,
I see. Right.
it's a bit of a shame, but
Yeah.
oh well. It makes sense that you don't have, say, a Zeech word bearer buffing a Khorne world eater.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, it still works for the psychic.
Yeah,
psychic
those
ones,
aren't
which might be
typically
interesting.
Legion locked, which is why Thousand Sun detachments have been so popular historically.
Yeah.
So next up, Cursed Despoilers. After deployment before the first battle round begins, if a word bearer unit is on the battlefield, select one terrain feature other than a fortification. Units do not benefit from cover. 2 CP.
Might be just in this. So all around for 2 CP, I don't think this is good.
No.
The only point I want to make is that with the mass amount of Space Marines, this might actually be okay, because taking them from a 2-up save back to a 3-up save, if they like castle around one building in their deployment, might actually be alright. Other than that, yeah, no.
I think it's also worth pointing out that word bearers are also quite a melee focused army.
Yeah.
So the benefiting from cover is a secondary benefit as well for a lot of times. Yeah, I think if this was 1 CP, it'd be interesting, but 2 CP is probably a pass. Next up, we have Revered Hosts. Use this stratagem in a fight phase when a word bearer possessed or a greater possessed unit from your army is chosen to fight with. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the damage characteristics of melee weapons in the unit.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's really good for 1 CP.
Yeah, I still don't like possessed because they have a very awkward attack profile.
Yeah.
But adding a damage to it is really good. And I think it's one of those things that if you are taking a unit of possessed or greater possessed, you're spending a CP on this every time you're in combat, pretty much. Unless you're fighting a guardsman or something. So, a really interesting defensive one next. Hexagrammic Ward. Use this stratagem in any phase after making a saving throw for a word bearer's character. Treat the result of that saving throw as 6. Each word bearer character model from your army can only be the target of this stratagem once per battle. This is just really, really cool, really nice, and really awkward for the opponent to have to play around.
Yeah, I like this. It gives you like everyone kind of like, you always see people holding on to like one last CP just in case. This is basically you could hold on to that 1 CP just in case, but it's not it's not a random like reroll. It's just like, yeah, I'll just pass it.
Yeah. As long as it's possible to pass, you pass it in effect.
Yeah. It doesn't sound big being on just one saving throw, but there's been, like, even recently, I've had so many games where like one saving throw has been the difference between a unit dying and a unit not dying, and it being like the person's last shooting or fighting
Yeah.
of the phase. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and again, we'll finish off the stratagem, then we'll come back to what I was going to make, which is the last word bearer stratagem allows you to reroll hitting wounds against ultramarine units in melee, which is nice if you're fighting ultramarines and terrible in every other case.
Yeah.
But looking at their stratagems as a whole, I think if you see word bearers on the tabletop, it will be the Supreme Command with maybe a possessed bomb in there.
Yeah.
I don't think this gives a lot of benefit to. There's no incentive to run Chaos Marines or Cultists or anything like that, or pretty much anything, in fact. So the artifacts improve the invulnerable save of a model with this relic by 1 to a maximum of 3+. Subtract 1 from the leadership characteristics of models and enemy units whilst their unit is within 6 of the model. I think this is really good.
Yeah.
Stick it on a Lord Discordant for a 4-up invuln.
Yeah, I like it.
Chaos don't have access to Storm Shields, so even on a Chaos Lord turning in his 4-up to a 3-up, you've got yourself a Storm Shield equivalent. Or on a Demon Prince, you give 4-up invuln. Yeah, very good. Leadership buff is in the sure whatever category, but cool. It's a nice side benefit if it comes up. If it comes up, it's great.
Yeah, it's just good all round.
So next up is Baleful Icon. When a charge roll is made for a charge declared against a friendly word bearer unit within 6 of the model with this relic, subtract 2 from the result. I think this is a really powerful ability, and we'll never see play because it's the wrong army to benefit from it, really.
Yeah. Yep.
If
you're not castling up, the chances of this actually going off are very slim.
Yeah, if you are playing pure word bearers and you're playing a Gene Stealer Cult or something, it's quite good.
Yeah.
But I think, as we've talked about already, you're only going to be running a couple of word bearer units in probably more of a Chaos Soupy style list, we think. So, yeah. And again, with Chaos, you're typically the aggressor, so I don't think this gets a lot of benefit. So next up, Book of the Reviler. Model that is not a demon only. Before the battle, a model with this relic don't have to use the relic, read from the Book of the Reviler. If it does, randomly generate 2 Chaos Boons for that model, re-rolling Spawn Hood and Demon Hood and duplicate results. Yeah, has a couple of other little restrictions to stop weird things happening, but essentially this is gain 2 random buffs for a non-demon character, and none of the Chaos Boons are impactful enough to worth the risk, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Quite cool though. So next one, Malefic Tome. Psycho model only. A model with this relic knows 1 additional psychic power from their chosen discipline. When a psychic test is taken from a model with this relic, add 1 to the total.
I think this is really good.
Oh yeah, this is brilliant. And I think, again, it fits with how we're envisaging World Eaters being built.
Yep.
And that Supreme Command. You've got 2 really good reasons to run a Psycho now with the talent, with the Tome and with the Covenant stratagem. Yeah, just really good. If you're taking a word bearer Psycho, you take this relic every time, I think, or take this artifact.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm just going back and having a look at the Warlord traits again just to see if anything else combos with that, but it doesn't. But that's still really good. I was sort of thinking you could just make a super psyker if you could get a decent Warlord trait as well.
Then we have the Ashen Axe. Model with a chain axe only, which is good, which means this relic's really cheap. It's only 1 point. The axe itself is +1 strength, AP2, D3 damage. Enemy units within 1 of the model with this relic cannot fall back unless they have a vehicle or Titanic keyword or have a minimum move characteristic. This is brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's cheap and it's really impactful. It's not the most damaging thing, but it's such a powerful defensive ability. And if the unit can't fall back, you can also use this to keep another unit safe in combat with them. So this is just brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good. Anything that can stop something from falling back is great. It's not even like most things that stop you from falling back, apart from I think the is it White Scars? It's either a stratagem or a psychic power. Like witches from Dakari, it's a roll. So having it just flat out like, yeah, you just can't fall back is really good.
Yeah, there's no points of failure here.
Yeah. And the fact that it doesn't go off on a vehicle or Titanic, most Titanic units, you're probably not going to want to charge one character in there.
No.
Anyway, and a vehicle, well, if they fall back, most of the time, vehicles that you're going to charge into with this, you're not going to bother charging into it if it has fly in the first place. So, and if you are going to charge into a vehicle, well, then the idea is to shut it down, which you're already going to do because you're charging into it and it doesn't have fly. So, yeah. I think the line that's like, unless they have vehicle or Titanic, being a sort of like what you can't do with this thing is just it doesn't really matter at all.
Also, Tau Riptides aren't vehicles, are they?
No, they're not.
So
really yeah,
take that, Tau.
Yeah,
tell them something against you.
And a lot of Tyranid stuff, monstrous.
Tyranid stuff is also likely to punch you in the face really hard, whereas
yeah, that's true.
A Riptide is less likely to do that.
Yeah.
Finally, we have the Epistle of Lorgar. Priest model only. When a model with this relic chants prayer, you can re-roll the dice to determine if the prayer is heard. Add 1 to the leadership characteristics of friendly word bearer units whilst within 6.
I think this is just not good.
That's
what I kind of have to say about it.
The re-rolling a dice is the reason you take it, that add 1 to leadership. To be honest, you could probably add 3 or 4 to leadership, and I don't think it would be interesting still.
Yeah. But even the re-roll dice, like you're probably if you're taking a Dark Apostle, you're probably taking the 2 disciples as well for 10 points. In which case, it's going off on 2s anyway.
Yeah, I think that's
so.
When you consider it as well that there are several artifacts of the word bearers you want to take.
Yeah.
As it is. So if you're taking this is essentially costing you a CP.
Yep.
Throughout the course of a game, you'll fail a 2-up 1 in 6 times. So you fail it once a game. So you can just use your CP there, and you don't need to. So unless you're desperate for that leadership buff, this is very average.
Yep, I agree.
And that is word bearers.
Yep.
So some nice character things. One nice possess buffing thing. Nothing that's going to change the faction otherwise, I think.
Yep. But again, I like the not for the rules, like specifically how strong the rules are and the balancing, but I like the direction that GW are going into with the like representing the fluff in the rules now, which is I really like. We saw it massively with Space Marines, and now with this, you're seeing it with Chaos Space Marines as well.
Hmm.
The rules are just all round very thematic for the Legion, so it's really good.
Yeah, there's nothing in here where you're like, why do word bearers have that one?
Yeah.
So next up we have Night Lords.
Okay, Night Lords. The first page is kind of just the same overview, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, here's all your new stuff on each pages. So Warlord traits first.
Mhm.
So first Warlord trait is Night Haunter's Curse. So once per battle round, you can reroll a single hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, advance roll, charge roll, or saving throw made for this Warlord. Which,
It's fine.
Yeah. Once per battle round is better than once per battle, but yeah, I think even standard Chaos Space Marine Warlord traits are better than
Yeah, I think
that.
this is the previous Night Lord Warlord trait.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
And I think in the old world, as it were, before this book, it was a perfectly acceptable trait. But I think the new traits are better than this.
Yeah. So Warlord trait number 2 is one piece at a time. This Warlord can charge in a turn in which they fell back. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon against this Warlord, subtract 1 from the hit roll. That's pretty good.
I'm not a fan of it, just because I don't think with the Chaos Warlord you want to fall back and charge very often.
Yeah.
And the subtract 1 from the hit roll in melee only, I don't think is a powerful enough defensive ability to be worth a trait again.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Although against a Thunder Hammer character, and you're subtracting 2 from the hit rolls.
Yep.
That's quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's against something that's coming up the board without any buffs, then it's good. I think with the saturation of Space Marines and the clear steer towards reroll failed hits becoming reroll hits, it loses a lot of its potency, as it were. -1 to hit is not the same as it used to be.
Yeah,
right
especially
now.
in combat only.
Yeah, so still quite good if you want to sort of jump in and jump out of combat, but yeah, I think some of the other ones are a lot better. So number 3 is Murderous Reputation. When resolving an attack made by this Warlord, an unmodified hit roll of 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any other damage.
I can't think of anything with enough attacks to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
The Demon Prince with dual claws does an additional mortal wound.
Yeah, and it's unmodified as well, so you can't exactly. Although I don't really think there's any buffing to hit. But yeah.
Lord Discordance getting +1 to hit.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And Prescience as well. You could. Even then, I don't think it would be that powerful. But
yeah, I mean, you can still access the Chaos Space Marine Warlord trait, which does this on a wound roll, but it's not unmodified. It's just on 6 up. So yeah. Number 4, Killing Fury. Add D3 to the attack's characteristics of this Warlord in a turn in which they made a charge, move, were charged, or performed a heroic intervention. So first turn of combat, basically. These additional attacks last until the end of the fight phase.
I really like this one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It would probably be my go-to one for Night Lords. It's just a nice big, just 2 extra attacks when you charge with a Prince or with a Disco Lord, or even with a regular Chaos Lord, is going to do some damage. So yeah. This is the best one I think for Night Lords.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it. When number 5, One with the Shadows. When resolving an attack made against this Warlord whilst they are entirely on or within a terrain feature, add 1 to the saving throw, excluding invulnerable saves, whilst this warlord is entirely on or within a terrain feature, improve its invulnerable save by 1 to a maximum of 3 up. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's
Add 1 to the saving throw, excluding invulnerable saves. Add 1 to the invulnerable save.
it's weirdly written, and again, this is kind of Disco Lord or ignore,
Yeah.
and I think this goes in the ignore
I mean,
because it's a situational +1 to save.
yeah.
I don't really want my Disco Lord entirely within a terrain feature most of the time.
Yeah. 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 I'm not. Considering, I think Word Bearers wasn't one of Word Bearers' warlord traits. You just get +1 to your invulnerable
Yeah.
save. Yeah. So. Yeah. This is generally you want a warlord trait to be sort of like either have a incredible like once per battle ability like Raven Guard have with the redeploy, or you want it to just be active like all the time and a good effect. Having something that is activated via very specific like set of prerequisites, like I don't like them. I never like anything that has that.
If this was like a Tau character that was, let's say a Tau character Riptide, just for ease of thing, where you might stick him in cover and leave him there all game, and then you get +1 to a save. Cool.
Yeah.
But again, Chaos characters tend to be quite aggressive or protected by the character rule. So yeah.
Yeah. And also taking into account Night Lords are supposed to be like a shock and awe army.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean you can deep strike into cover and then but you're probably bringing other stuff down that's in front of it, and yeah, it's you want your characters to also, in an army like that, you want your characters to also play some part in like being able to go and capture objectives and stuff like that. So yeah, most of the time those are out in the open. So number 6, Dirty Fighter. Whilst there are more friendly models within 3 inches of this warlord than enemy models, when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by this warlord, add 1 to the wound roll.
I like this, but I think Killing Fury is more reliable, and therefore I go for Killing Fury and more attacks.
Yeah.
It's a good ability, but it's again a situational thing for a reasonably powerful effect, and I'd kind of want it to be more powerful, to be honest, than for the requirement.
Yeah, what's more friendly? Yeah. I mean, I think they could have just had this without the requirement for more friendly models.
Yeah, or even if it was just some friendly models.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, if you're within 6 of a friendly model.
Yeah,
that would have been fine. But having to be within 3 as well, you basically have to have your warlord wrapped by your own units.
Yeah, I mean, if you're charging, you can get clever with placing, but
yeah,
do you want to when you can just get extra attacks free essentially?
So yeah, that's all the warlord traits. I think looking over it now, I think like unless we've missed something, I think Killing Fury is probably the one. If you wanted to go for a Night Lord's warlord trait, you'd take Killing Fury.
Yeah, I would as well.
Yeah. Maybe one piece at a time if you were running like a Chaos Lord with a jump pack or something, and you wanted to sort of fall back out of combat and lock something else up or whatever. But yeah, Killing Fury. But even then, Killing Fury isn't for a warlord trait, like you could just roll 1.
Yeah, it's.
So
I don't
yeah,
think it's as good as the word bearer traits, but
yeah,
I
no.
think D3 attacks is just a solid thing, and +1 attack is kind of the average warlord trait value. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it goes in the solid category for me, and the rest go in the quite poor.
Yep. Should we move on to stratagems?
Let's do that.
Okay, so first stratagem, in Midnight Clad, use the stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase when a Night Lord's infantry unit from your army is targeted by a shooting attack. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack against that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Yeah, it's decent. Yeah, 1 CP for lightning fast reactions.
Yeah, it is.
On an infantry model.
Yeah, it's just very good for what it is.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. Let's go down. So, Vox Scream.
Ooh, well, I just want
2 CP. So, use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of any Night Lord's units from your army. Until the start of your next movement phase, enemy units cannot be affected by any of the selected units or abilities. Yeah,
this
it's
one is
really good.
Yeah, it also makes me. I'm gonna have to look up a load of stuff and see if it's defined as an aura ability. Because turning off, say, synapse for a turn.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can, but if you can, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And just like stopping Marines re-rolling hits is, really nice as well. So
yeah,
this is.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff you like. There's so many applications because usually, like, a lot of armies have one specific character that is a massive, like, all he does is just buff everything. So, like, Drakari, you've got the Blackheart Archon with Writ of the Living Muse and
Rerolling hits. Really
rerolling hits for your Ravagers and
Yeah.
whatnot. So you could just be like, yep, 2 CP, it doesn't work
Mm.
for that battle round.
Yeah, and you think some of the like tower abilities to be able to ignore the heavy penalty and things.
Yeah.
You're like, nope, you can't use that.
Oh yeah, like Carry On and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's massive. Yeah, it's a really, really good ability.
And the fact that it's not a character unit or anything, or like a unit with a specific Raptors with a specific like upgrade.
Yep.
It's just anything.
Yep.
Your cultists can shout really loudly and annoy them.
Yeah. Any Night Lord's unit, and all they have to be is within 18 of the unit that you want to do it on. You don't have to have visibility of it. You just need to be within 18 of it.
Yeah. Super powerful.
Yeah, it's really good. So next is Prey on the Weak. It's 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your shooting phase or the fight phase when a Night Lord's unit from your army is chosen to shoot or fight with. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made by a model in that unit against an enemy unit whose models have a lower leadership characteristic than the attacking model. Jesus, that was a long sentence. Add 1 to the hit roll.
It's cool, really cool that it actually synergizes with the Night Lord trait.
Yeah.
And I guess it's quite good against, say, guard and things that you'll be have higher leadership characteristic than anything anyway.
Yeah.
It's
just pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
I don't think you design an army around it, but when it comes up, it's really good.
Yeah.
And
it's nice to have all these like 1 CP little strats that you can use, almost like it's basically like widening their toolbox, as opposed to like, I know some new stratagems come out and it's like 3 CP for -1 leadership aura within 6 inches, and it's like, why? Why would I ever pay 3 CP to use that? Even if but it's nice to have stuff like this that's 1 CP.
Yes.
It might come up, there's loads of games it might come up in, but you won't necessarily be like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna, focus a strategy around it. That's why I quite like starting to play Craft Worlds, because you've just got so many strats for so many different units that have all this different utility.
fall back and shoot, for example, and then
Yeah, fall back and shoot, and then like add one. Is it add one to the hit rolls for support weapons, and then phantasm, and like just all of that stuff. So next stratagem is hit and run. It's 1 CP. Use this stratagem at the start of your charge phase. Select one Night Lord's unit from your army. That unit can charge even if it fell back this turn.
yeah. So this to me seems like the definition of your nice to have.
Yeah.
Most of the time with Night Lords, you're going to be trying to set the tempo with probably quite an aggressive jump assault army. So it's probably not going to come up that much, but when it does, 1 CP for this ability is just very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Incidentally, I think Vox Screen might be the most one of going back to it just because it's such a cool stratagem thing. Might be one of the most skill testing stratagems because I think 2 CP for this is quite a lot, and you probably don't want to do it every turn because you'll run out of CP very quickly before getting your own things going. But
yeah,
I think this could almost be a once per game thing and still be as powerful.
Yeah, I agree. Something this powerful, especially if you're going against an army that does have one of those characters that is basically the backbone of your army. So like an Imperial Fist Chapter Master with the Lieutenant relic. Like you stop that and it's like nothing gets rerolls and reroll wounds as well.
Yeah, you turn off a lot of their army.
Yeah, and sometimes you only need a turn of that to hamper their shooting so badly that they just can't come back from it after you've then had your subsequent turn where they haven't killed anything of yours because you've hampered their shooting. Yeah, it's a really good stratagem, and 2 CP I think is fine.
Yeah, it's the right price for it.
Yeah. So next stratagem, we've come for you. It's 1 CP, so use the stratagem at the start of your opponent's movement phase. Select one Night Lord's unit from your army that is not a vehicle. Until the start of your next turn, enemy units within 1 inch of that unit cannot fall back unless they have the vehicle or Titanic keyword, or have a minimum move characteristic. So again, extremely good. Just like the Word Bearer's axe, but it's a stratagem now, and you can use it on any Night Lord's unit that isn't a vehicle.
Yeah, the vehicle thing is actually really key because not being able to do it on a Helldrake that can charge something turn 1 is a little bit of a shame.
Yeah.
But probably that was an intentional design decision.
Yeah. I think because of the upcoming strats as well, you wouldn't base your army around that anyway. If you have already based your army around that, then you might want to reconsider getting some jump pack infantry rather than running Helldrakes. But yeah, I think if you're going to take an army that synergizes with all of these stratagems, so there's a couple coming up that are specific to like infantry and also jump pack infantry, so it's much more applicable to this stratagem that we're talking about now. So, but again, it's just super powerful.
Oh yeah, brilliant as well.
Yeah. So, next one from the night, it's 1 CP. Use this stratagem at the start of your charge phase. Select one Night Lord's infantry unit from your army that is entirely on or within a terrain feature. Until the end of the turn, when a charge roll is made for that unit, add 2 to the result. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model in that unit, add 1 to the hit roll.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Anything that's boss charge, it works out of deep strike.
Yep.
Yeah, as long as you've got a decent terrain feature to jump in.
Yeah. So that's the only drawback from this is the unit has to be entirely on or within the terrain feature. So yeah, if you're generally on some half decent boards, you're probably going to be all right. And again, it's just kind of like a nice to have.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting because this is going to trap some people. I reckon they're going to be like, "Ooh, I can get the +2 and actually not end up putting your unit in the place where you want them to charge. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, if when it works for you, it's going to be brilliant because +2 to charge is very nice, and
Yeah.
+1 to hit roll
I
also
think
works really well against Imperial things. Because then that means your Death to the False Emperor is going off on a 5.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I think if you can pull it off, it's a like it'll make whatever you're bringing down snowball massively.
Mm.
And obviously +2 to the charge is great if you're coming
Mhm.
out with deep strike. So yeah, just all round good, 1 CP. So yeah, we'll get into the next one. So Raptor Strike, it's 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your charge phase before making a charge roll for a Night Lord's jump pack unit from your army that was set up on the battlefield as reinforcements this turn. Roll 3d6 for that charge instead of 2d6. So really, really good. And also, it's only 1 CP.
Yeah, this is a game changer for Night Lords, I think, because
Yeah.
I'm even with the points drops, I'm still not a massive fan of Warp Talons and Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
I think this does actually give them a reason to exist and to play.
Yeah.
Just because you can combine this and We Have Come For You so well. And for
Yeah.
2 CP, that is potentially such a huge impact that you can have on a enemy unit or
Yeah.
enemy units.
Yeah. So obviously, you always, unless you're using from the night as well, so the reroll charge. If
I'd be
you're
tempted to be honest.
yeah, it's a 3d6. A 3d6 is amazing. It sucks when you fail a 3d6 charge, but the ability to suddenly just take a unit that wasn't very good purely because you couldn't reliably deep strike them and then get a charge off, and then also ensure that they cannot be shot at next turn.
Yeah, especially when Warp Talons have the Ignore Overwatch when they come down from Deep Strike.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
all
So
synergizes so well together.
yeah, it's really good. It's really good. For 1 CP as well, just to mention it, like Blood Angels 3d6 charges 2 CP, I think.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Blood Angels 3d6 charges 2 CP. So,
Blood Angels their jump units are more powerful and they have other ways to deep strike things.
yeah. So I think like obviously Chaos Space Marines don't have like a Vanguard vet equivalent, so you can either take Raptors or Warp Talons, and that's it, pretty much.
You could have a character.
Yeah, you could have a character and do that as well. So
I think if you're doing this with Warp Talons.
yeah.
Raptors, despite their fluff, are really more of a shooting unit. Although you can have a larger Raptor squad. You can have a 15-man Raptor squad, and you can use that to tie up more things with We Have Come For You. Whereas Warp Talons only go up to 10. But
so yeah, last stratagem is Flay Them Alive. So it's 1 CP again. Use the stratagem in the fight phase. When an enemy unit is destroyed as a result of an attack made by a Night Lord's model from your army, until the end of the turn, when a morale test is taken for an enemy unit within 12 inches of that Night Lord's unit, your opponent must roll 1 additional d6 and you choose one of those dice to be discarded.
yeah,
It's just another nice thing to have, I think, maybe.
I don't think it's going to come up very often.
It won't, no. It might be quite clutch in some cases, though.
Yeah, and the fact that it's an additional d6 and you can choose one has some benefit itself. So Chaos Demons, they get people back on a 1. Tau with Bonding Knife always pass on a 6. So getting around those is quite nice.
Yeah, and it's just kind of maybe if there's a unit that's sitting on an objective and you didn't kill as many as you thought you would, and they don't have CP to auto pass, then you can.
Or if you just need to force that CP out.
Oh, actually, use the stratagem in the fight phase when an enemy unit is destroyed as the result of an attack.
Ah, we were pretty mediocre on this before we realised that was the case. Yeah, this is just terrible.
Yeah, yeah. So it has to be the unit that's killed a unit, and then units within 12 get to roll an additional d6.
Wow, that's.
Yeah,
Tell you what, send us a picture if that ever comes up.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see this coming up very often whatsoever. So yeah, so just all round decent, I think, apart from the last one.
Yeah, some really good stratagems.
Yeah, and really fluffy as well. Again.
Yep.
So really goes well with the army. So I don't think there's, just looking back over them around the week. That's fine. I think I'm pretty sure it's literally just the last one that doesn't really have, that won't really have a lot of use. I mean, some of them are clearly incredible.
Yeah,
So
Vox Scream and We Have Come For You are potential game changers.
Yeah, Vox Scream, We Have Come For You, and Raptor Strike are all, they're incredible. It completely changes the way that you could play the Legion, basically. And not in just a fluffy, in both a fluffy way and a competitive way. It's really good. And then all of the other ones, apart from Flay Them Alive, are pretty much just great to haves.
Yeah. So falling back in charge.
Yeah, -1 to
nice
hit.
To have. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like it. I think, yeah, if you're a Night Lords player, you'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, no question.
So, yeah, let's move on to the relics. So the first one is Flayer. Model with a power sword only. This relic replaces power sword and has the following profile. So it's +1 strength, AP -1, damage 2. It has an ability, each model destroyed by an attack with this weapon counts as 2 for the purposes of morale tests.
Sorry, it's AP -3, not AP -1.
Yeah, AP -3, sorry.
This is alright.
Yeah.
I think this is worthwhile to get a power sword with +1 strength and +1 damage, and the morale ability is just a nice to have.
Yep.
And I think the offensive Night Lord relics aren't as good as some of the other ones, so this might see some play.
Yeah, I'm just envisioning with this throwing a Chaos Lord into a unit of 10 intercessors and killing the entire unit by only killing 5 of them.
That would be nice. That would be nice. And then you can get your Flay Them Alive to trigger.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's that one. It's just cool. It's a cool relic.
Yeah, kind of B+.
Yep. Next one is Stormbolt Plate. Infantry model only. A model with this relic has a save characteristic of a 2-up. In addition, a model with this relic always counts as being in cover even whilst it's not entirely on or within a terrain feature.
This is terrible in my view.
It is, and also it isn't. So
I think the infantry model was the thing that kills it. I think if you could have this on a prince, it would be good.
Yeah, however, you could put this on a Chaos Lord with a Thunder Hammer, and because it counts as always being within terrain, you can always use From the Night on it. So you can always get a 7-inch charge and add +1 to the hit roll. So you'll still be hitting with a Thunder Hammer on 2s, rerolling 1s.
You always count as being in cover. You don't always count as being in terrain.
Let me. Yeah, true. Okay, yeah, that's yeah, it's pretty subpar then.
Yeah. like sniper protection, really, which
Yeah,
is used.
yeah.
I don't know.
Safeguard.
Maybe on a psyker if you're facing Raven Guard.
Yeah. So actually, yeah. I mean, this essentially just gives you a 1-up, doesn't it, all the time?
Yeah, for ranged attacks.
Yeah. It's not too bad, but I actually I still haven't since the last one. I know we mentioned it in the first Voxcast of Faith and Fury that we did that I haven't actually read this yet. I still haven't read on from it, so this is all new to me. So I haven't actually seen any of the other relics, but
the next one's good.
yeah. So I'm assuming there's a couple of good ones and some mediocre, and then potentially some just ones that you wouldn't even consider taking. But
Yeah,
this one seems pretty just like, yeah, I could take it. It looks all right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, next one, Vox Demonicus. Infantry model only. Whilst an enemy unit is within 6 inches of a model with this relic, reduce the range of that unit's aura abilities to 1. In addition, enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 inches of a model with this relic. It's really good.
Yeah, this is really good. I did see an interesting thing online that if you've got two Night Lords players and they've both got Vox Democulus and they get within 6 inches of each other, what happens? But they both turn each other off. Surely if one turns the other off and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
Whoever's turn it is, I guess, chooses the thing, but this is an always on thing. So, yeah, I don't know how that works, but yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, in that scenario, I would imagine it would be an initiative thing, as it always is when it's something stupid like that.
But I don't believe there's an FAQ out yet for Faith and Fury, so we can't know that answer. But that would be my logical guess for now.
Yeah. Yeah, just in general, really good relic.
Yeah, the range is a little tough on this one. Just being with 6 inches means you've probably got to be within combat. But yeah, still a really, really good, still really powerful effect and something that you're willing to put the work in to get the reward for.
Yeah, it's another thing as well that you can trigger off with additional stuff. So if you took this on like a Chaos Lord or something that you were going to deep strike in and get into the person that you wanted this to go off on, you can then in the subsequent turn stop them from falling back, so it actually locks them into that 1-inch aura.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
And the 12-inch reinforcements is also a nice ability to have. It's not so useful on the character, but it's still good, and it still means if you are playing Gene Stealer Cult and you send your character off on a far objective, it makes it much harder for them to then deep strike a unit in to assault them. They've got ways around it, but it's more work and more CP they've got to invest in.
Yeah. It's just it's one of those things where you're forcing the opponent to play how you want to play, which is great. So
yeah,
really good relic. Next one is Talons of the Night Terror. So you can only take this on a model that can fly. That is the only
restriction.
Restriction on it. So Talons of the Night Terror. So it's obviously a melee weapon. It's strength +1, AP -1, 1 damage. When a model with this relic fights, it makes D3 additional attacks with this weapon, or D6 additional attacks with this weapon if it made a charge move or performed a heroic intervention.
This one's okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of matchups where if you're playing a sort of Orc or Guard style person, you just need those extra attacks. It's quite good. But I don't think you build a strategy around this. For example, what you might with the Vox Democulus.
Yeah, I mean, you can. If you did want to take this, you could combo it with the Warlord trait where your 6s explode.
Yeah, that's true.
Additional hits because you get even more. And actually, you'd probably be better off actually. Oh no, because it's Oh, that's a shame. It would be nice if it also had the lightning claws like ability as well to reroll wounds,
Yeah,
but sadly it doesn't. This would have been really good if you took it with the normal Chaos Space Marine Waller trait, where 6s to wound explode.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean it's decent. It's a decent weapon if you want to take it and don't want to take anything else. So
yeah. I don't think you take this for Marines, but it's
yeah.
nice to have against a horde list.
Yeah. So next one is Scourging Chains. Improve the armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons a model with this relic is equipped by with 1. So AP 0 becomes AP 1, etc., etc. Subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic to a minimum of 1 of enemy models whilst they're within 1 inch of a model with this relic.
I like this one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's
Yeah,
not
and it
bad.
doesn't jump out to me as anything broken, but the potential of it's quite nice. And subtracting 1 from attack's characteristic of the right sort of model could be really nice. So, yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, maybe this if you're having like a friendly game and you knew the person that you were going up against, like it worked really well on a specific unit, you would take it. I think as an all-comers thing, I don't think you would ever consider this just because.
I think the fact that you can put this on a prince and give his dual talons AP3 is worth a consideration as well.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's really good.
Yeah, so I quite like this one.
Yeah. So the next one is Misery of the Meek. Once per battle, at the start of your movement phase, a model with this relic can drink from the Misery of Meek. That model immediately regains up to D6 lost wounds and until the start of your next turn, add D3 to that model's attack characteristics.
I don't like this one.
Nah.
It's got the same problem that you've got to be injured and live.
Yeah.
When it comes up, it feels like a really powerful effect, but the fact that it'll come up 1 in 3-4 games is the issue, really.
Yeah.
Plus, there's always that chance that you roll 1 wounds regained, and
Yeah.
then you spend a CP and you inevitably roll another one.
Yep. So I think, to be fair, you're probably always taking Vox Demonicus.
Yeah, Demonicus and either Talons of the Night Terror or Scourging Change, I think, depending on matchup. Maybe the sword.
Yeah.
I think the strength of the Night Lords is in their stratagems more so than their Warlord traits or artifacts.
Talons of the Night Terror is really interesting. It's just such a shame that it's only AP 1 and damage 1.
Yeah.
The +1 strength.
It's bonus attacks, isn't it, rather than anything else?
Yeah. So I guess you'd have to, like I said, find a way of comboing the extra attacks into something else so you get more value out of it, like the Warlord trait. I do really like it though.
Yeah.
But,
D6 attacks have a chance to turn into mortal wounds. It's quite nice.
Yeah. But yeah, Vox Demonicus is super powerful, especially with the stratagems. Okay, yeah, that's Night Lords. Let's go through.
Alpha Legion next.
Let's go through all. What is it?
You get to go through the name generator.
Yeah. Go through all 50 names on the name generator.
Oh, perhaps we should roll each time and have one roll for
our
we take
Legion traits.
One character.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do mine now. So.
Okay.
I've got 56. So, Keth and 53. Keth Balakor.
Keth Balakor
is my Night Lord's name.
Fair enough. I am Sanad Balakor as well.
No.
We're brothers, apparently.
Cool. So, do you want to do Alpha Legion?
Yeah. So The first Warlord trait, they get Iron Malferos, which is the same as their book one, which is exactly the same as the book one, interestingly. So how it works is when you randomly generate a Warlord trait from the Chaos Marine book, so you don't get any of the new ones. If your character dies, then you randomly make a new character Warlord, and they generate a Warlord trait in the same way. Which is kind of a, because the generic Chaos traits aren't that good, then having a way to slay the Warlord is quite often something I picked. I think there are better things now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, speaking of better things, Clandestine. When resolving an attack made against this Warlord, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Just really good.
Yep.
Especially considering that Alpha Legion have -1 to hit anyway if you're more than 12 inches. So stacking these on a Disco Lord and giving him -2 to hit seems like the obvious thing out the gate.
Yep, it's pretty good.
Next up, Headhunter. The Warlord can target character units even if they're not the closest enemy unit. In addition, when resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon when resolving a ranged attack by this Warlord, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any other damage. I can't think of a way to give a Chaos character a big enough gun to make this worthwhile.
Sorry, I had to go and look at their relics to see if.
Fair.
So there is a combi bolter that's rapid fire 2, strength 5 -3, flat 2 damage.
That's true.
But that's it basically. Unless you want to. I've always wanted to make, because you're not limited to what you can put on each arm with Chaos Lords. So I've always wanted to take a Chaos Lord with a jump pack with twin plasma pistols, just because it's so cool.
That's cool. You're halfway to Cypher there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's actually worth mentioning this with the relic, but I don't think this is a worthwhile trait.
No.
Next up, Master of Diversion. At the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, select up to 3 other friendly Alpha Legion units on the battlefield. Remove these units from the battlefield, set them up again following the usual deployment rules. If you redeploy for transport, then models inside go with it.
Mm-hmm.
This is really good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's always really good when something like this comes up.
If you're on a fixed deployment thing, and you're going second, and you've seen the opponent move, it loses a lot of its thing. But yeah, this is just really good ability to have.
Yeah. It's a really nice ability for missions where you can seize as well.
Yes, so you can go from a very defensive deployment to a very aggressive deployment if you.
Yeah, or vice versa.
Yeah, suddenly realise you've got a big blob of berserkers in the open. I'm like, nope.
Yeah. Is there any chaos unit that can forward deploy, like infiltrate?
Not infiltrate. There's Alpha Legion can do it with CP.
Okay.
It's pre-game move nowadays.
Yeah.
I guess technically, in Chaos as a whole faction, then the Nurglings can, but they wouldn't benefit from this.
Yeah. And also, it depends on, because there was a clarification with Shadow Spear Phobos units, because the Phobos the Phobos characters can take a Warlord trait that does exactly the same thing. And there was a clarification on the Phobos units themselves, because the Phobos units have a special rule where they can infiltrate, basically, where in the deployment phase you can deploy them 9 inches outside of the opponent's deployment zone. However, the wording of the rule was in the deployment phase. So, if you deployed them back and then seized the initiative and then used the Warlord trait to move them again, you couldn't deploy them further up the board because you're not in the deployment phase anymore. You're at the start of the first battle round. So it completely switched the way that you can use that trait. So generally, you can still do the same kind of strategy, but you have to forward deploy them first, and then you can deploy them back in your deployment zone. But you can't do it the other way around anymore.
No, and I think that's a good thing, to be fair.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, if you can do it with CP, then that's great. It's still really powerful.
Yes. Next up, Cult Leader. When resolving an attack made with a weapon or a model of a friendly Alpha Legion Chaos Cultist unit within 6, an unmodified wound roll of a 6 improves the AP by 1. So AP 0 becomes AP 1. It's almost there. Cultists can put out quite a lot of dice. I don't think this is really enough, but you can give cultists +1 to hit. You can give them +1 to wound. That doesn't stack with this, but you can pump investment into cultists if you want to make them do damage.
Yeah, I mean, they did get a points reduction again.
Yes, which is
chapter
huge.
approved. So, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things as well. And I spoke about this in the I think it was the word bearers thing, where I'm not a fan of something that needs so many different criteria to be met to actually work. So, like, firstly, it's got to be on your warlord. Secondly, you have to have chaos cultists within 6 of that warlord, and then you have to roll wound rolls of a 6.
Yeah, and I think
so. It's just a bit too much. Like,
just
sure,
the fact that it's AP1 as just AP1 as well.
Yeah,
doesn't make it enough of a investment.
and
you're going heavy on this, and I don't think it's going heavy on.
And unmodified as well. So,
yeah, if it was a 6+, then veterans again comes into effect. But
yeah, I mean, if you're going with cultist spam, sit after the points drop, then sure, go for it. Like, it's probably going to come up, but in general, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I think if you're going cultist spam as well, there's better legions.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for instance, Black Legion, and then just take Abaddon. Yeah.
So finally, Faceless Commander. Once per battle, at the end of your movement phase, you can remove this warlord from the battlefield and set them up within 3 of a friendly Alpha Legion infantry unit, and more than 9 from enemy models. It's good. It's probably got one too many restrictions for me. The fact that it has to be within 3 of a friendly Alpha Legion unit is a little bit of a pain, but it is quite nice if you've got your warlord. Let's say it's a demon prince. He's running up. He's taking names. Then he suddenly starts getting battered. In response, he's down to a wound or 2, and you need to hightail him out there. Or the fact that, again, just because it is Alpha Legion infantry, the fact that you could do this with cultists and do the reverse if you've got a demon prince babysitting some havocs and then suddenly charge them up.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't think it's quite worth it, though. I think I prefer Clandestine as a general rule.
Yeah.
Or Master of Diversion.
Yeah, I think Master of Diversion is the way to go with this one, depending on if you build around it, obviously.
Yeah, I think it depends a little on who's the warlord. I think if I've got a lord or a prince, I prefer Master of Diversion. If I've got a disco lord, I prefer Clandestine.
Yeah, I think if you were looking for an all-round good Alpha Legion trait, you would go with Clandestine. No doubt.
But luckily, Alpha Legion can have both, as we'll get onto in a second. So, Alpha Legion's existing stratagem is forward operatives, which I'm not bitter that it essentially got horribly nerfed, and then Raven Guard essentially got an unnerfed version of it in there, but let's ignore that for a second. So, use the stratagem during deployment. When you select an Alpha Legion infantry unit from the army, the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, you can move that enemy unit up to 9. So you can move that unit up to 9. It cannot end within 9 of an enemy unit. Each unit can only be selected by the stratagem once per battle. This is really good. The only caveat being that because it's an infantry unit, it does mean your squad is quite vulnerable. But equally, if you are going first, you get that 9 inches movement pre-game. You can then move your unit. You can then warp time your unit, and you can find an infantry unit has suddenly gone close to 24 inches before it charges.
Yeah, it's good. It's decent.
Yeah, it's just really good. It's not as good as it was, but it's still really good. Next up, Conceal 2 CP. Use this at the start of one of your opponent's shooting phases. Select an Alpha Legion infantry unit from the army. Until the end of the phase, enemy models can only target that unit if it is the closest visible unit. Which is really good.
I might be getting this wrong. Oh no, it was a Salamander's stratagem. I was thinking of something. I remember where they had to FAQ it really quickly because it made everything untargetable.
Yeah, this is a bit different. So this, typically I think you're going to use this to protect either Havocs or Obliterators.
Mm-hmm.
And Alpha Legion Obliterators and Havocs both have good place in the army. They benefit from the -1 to be hit at range, and both of them actually benefit from the pre-game move of 9, which they have relatively short-range weapons, or can have relatively short-range weapons at just 24.
Mm-hmm.
So the option to suddenly move them up in the opponent's face turn 1 is a valid thing.
Yeah.
And then you can chuck some Cultists or something in front and force them. So yeah, I think Conceal is just a really good strategy.
Yeah, I think it's really good. The only problem I have with it is that not necessarily each rule individually, just the two things combined. So the fact that it's 2 CP and you have to use it at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. I guess it does. Cloud of Flies work the same way.
Cloud of Flies you use in your movement phase, I believe.
Okay.
The timing on it's weird because this one is useful if because you can go second and still have its effects. Whereas I remember Cloud of Flies doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Work if you go second.
Yeah.
I
like it. I like it. I just think you've got to have a unit that has a massive threat to warrant spending 2 CP all the time on it.
Yeah, so I think Obliterators are the
Yeah.
thing that really benefit from that, because if you've got an assault unit, chances are it's going to be, if not the closest, then very close.
Yeah. And then obviously you've got the option of using this as like a toolbox kind of stratagem as well. So further out in the game, if you are going down the cultist route and you've got a huge unit of cultists holding like 2 objectives at the same time, and then you just pop this and then they can't shoot at them. So yeah, I think it is good. Yeah, I think you have to take, if you're going to use it to protect a big unit, you have to take a big unit. Otherwise, it's just not worth it.
Next up, we have possibly my favourite flavor win, Sabotaged Armory. Use this stratagem in any phase before your opponent rolls to see if a vehicle model from their army explodes. If any Alpha Legion units from your army are on the battlefield, add 3 to one of the d6, and it cannot be re-rolled.
Oh, that's incredible.
This is just brilliant.
Yeah, for 1 CP, that's amazing.
It's not the most reliable. The fact that neither person can re-roll it is quite big in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, actually, if some things explode rather than just die, it has some additional effects for things. So I think the Tyrannus Knight, if it explodes, it can't come back.
Yeah, true.
So I think that is a huge, when you'd see this used.
Yeah. If I was taking my knights as Tyrannus and I went up against a new Alpha Legion army, I'd be very scared.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be the Alpha Legion unit that did the final blow as well.
Yeah, they just have to be on the battlefield. Any unit has to be on the battlefield, which is it's really cool.
Yeah,
And
one cultist at the back of the board hiding, just be like, yes.
yeah, and actually very good right now as well with all the repulsor executioners and stuff like that. It's all D6 damage to everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, really nice.
So next up, scrambled coordinates. Use this stratagem in your opponent's movement phase when an enemy unit is set up on the battlefield, but as reinforcement before. Sorry. Blech. Use this stratagem in your opponent's movement phase when an enemy unit is set up on the battlefield as reinforcements, but before it is placed on the battlefield, which is a weird sentence. That unit must be set up more than 12 from Alpha Legion units in your army rather than 9.
What? Okay, it's a really good stratagem.
So
it's an incredible stratagem. I don't understand the wording. Why they're using this wording?
Yeah, the wording is essentially when someone's selected a unit, when they're saying it's coming on the battlefield, but before they've said exactly where it's coming down.
Yeah.
Which is a weird way to say that. But to stop a melee unit charging you,
yeah, it's really good.
Really nice.
It's a super good stratagem. For 1 CP as well, it's really good. I would prefer to have this than like Auspex Scan or anything like that.
For Chaos, yes, because I don't think Chaos have a unit that Auspex scans particularly well.
If I had the option of either or, I would always take this one, just because Auspex Scan usually like you do some damage to it. Usually it's at -1 to hit. And it's usually it has to be an infantry unit that does it, which is quite good with like intercessors and whatnot. But just flat out basically saying no, you can't charge me.
Yes. And the other thing is that if you've got an Auspex scans, you can hide something behind a wall or something.
Exactly.
You can still hide behind a wall, but you've got to be more than 12 away. So unless you've got an additional ability, you can't charge that unit even on a 6/6.
Yeah. Well, you can't even declare the person's units as the target.
Yeah, you'd have to have something like GC Lookup where you can move after you.
Yeah.
I mean,
but even then, like because you have to use that when they're doing the unit. So if they don't do that, you could be like, if the GSC player's like, okay, I'm going to deep strike my Primus and my Icon, my banner, and my Patriarch, and then I'm going to deep strike my unit of Acolytes, then you'd be like, right, they can't be 12 they can't be more than 12 inches away. It's really good. I like it a lot. But yeah, again, the wording is just really weird. It basically says when an enemy unit is set up on the battlefield as reinforcements, but before it's placed on the battlefield as reinforcements.
Oh, it's yeah. It's something you have to read twice to make sense, and even then you're like, yeah, okay. So next one is another really cool one. 1 CP again. Use the stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select Alpha Legion infantry unit from your army that is more than 3 away from enemy models. You cannot select a unit that arrived as reinforcements this turn. Remove it from the battlefield at the end of your next movement phase. Set it up on the battlefield again, more than 9 inches away from enemy models. Enemy models that cannot be set up are destroyed. If the battle ends before the unit is set back up, it is destroyed. This is a really good strat.
Yeah, it's
a delayed deep strike effect, in effect.
Yeah, Genestealer Cult like proved time and time again that this, because they have the exact same stratagem, or is it? No, it's a psychic power, I think.
Yeah, they've got ways of going back into reserve.
Yeah, it's incredibly useful to do stuff like this.
Yeah, because you could you could also use it to deep strike a unit effectively turn 2 that doesn't normally have access to deep strike.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to put a 20-man...
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Or you could say have some like plasma chosen or something and use it for them. I don't think that's the ideal use. I think this may end up being more of a late game teleport unit across the board to grab an objective.
Yeah, or teleport a unit out.
Yeah.
It's really good in ITC. Having a stratagem like this, because the utility that this gives you is massive.
Yeah.
So you can use it on any of your infantry units that may or may not be the target of a secondary objective by the opponent, and just completely deny it by
that's a good
moving the unit, or just completely. If you like deep struck a unit and they smashed into someone, and then the next turn you needed to get them out of there, then you just get them out there. And then put them right at the back of the field, and bam, you can't score the secondary. And at the same time, you can just use this. Oh, I need to get another objective to get holds more, but I don't have the movement to do that. Well, I'll just teleport the unit across the board.
Yeah, it's also worth pointing out that in addition to this, you do have Tide of Traitors for cultists as well. So you've got loads of ways to move various units around the battlefield.
Yeah.
So next up, we have essentially the intercept stratagem, Auspex Scan. So ambush. Use the stratagem in your opponent's movement phase after an enemy unit is set up on the battlefield as reinforcement. Select an Alpha Legion unit from your army within 18 of that unit to shoot at it as if it was your shooting phase. So Auspex Scan for Chaos. No -1.
Yep.
The fact that it's Alpha Legion unit as well means you could do it on monsters or vehicles. I can't think of a particularly good one you'd want to, but it's the option. But yeah, it's quite nice. If you've got some obliterators, then free obliterator shooting is always handy.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it's an interesting question whether to use scramble coordinates or ambush, but I think it depends on if it's a shooter unit or an assault unit.
You can. Well, it's 3 CP, but if you really needed it, you could do both.
Yes.
If someone was going like really ham on, like, for instance, I'd want to use the example of Genestealer Cult, because they're pretty, or Raven Guard even, they're pretty much renowned for being like the deep strikey armies now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the to do the like movement after you've come down, I'm pretty sure you have to declare that when the unit comes down and uses the strat, because you roll for it before they even deploy. So if they use the strat on a unit where you ambush them and kill off a lot of the unit, because they're probably going to be acolytes if it's Genestealer Cult. If they don't use that stratagem, well, then you use scramble coordinates, and then they can't charge you anyway.
Yeah, it's really good deep strike protection, which isn't something else has.
Yeah, and also actually thinking about it, both of those stratagems combined with the other Alpha Legion things gives you such massive board control, because you can like teleport units where you want them to, and you could even like you could teleport a unit across the board and string them out. You can scout move, and then you can take so much control of the board and have so many units in places that you wouldn't normally be able to get to within the certain time frame.
Yeah,
you can then combo that with scramble coordinates and ambush as well to basically just gain so much board control.
Yeah, it's interesting that we've been talking about flavor a couple of times, and again, the Alpha Legion stratagems have nothing apart from sabotaged armory that does any damage at all. It's all about tricks and movement and things. Even Sabotage Army isn't like a big damage dealing thing in
Mm.
most situations.
Yeah.
So speaking of, next one is Feigned Retreat. Use the stratagem in your movement phase when you fall back with an Alpha Legion unit from your army. The unit can still shoot. 1 CP, it'll come up. It's nice when it comes up.
Mhm.
I think
Yep.
there's a lot to say about that.
Mhm.
Really good on Obliterators if they get tagged up. Reasonably useful on a large cultist blob that gets tied up. Although
Yep.
if the cultist blob's got tied up, it's probably got smashed to pieces in horribly. But you never know. And finally, we are Alfarius. Not me and Nathan, the stratagem. Use the stratagem before the battle after nominating your warlord. Select one Alpha Legion character model from your army that is not your warlord and give it a warlord trait. Yeah, this is really good. Space Marines and other factions have proved it time and time again. I think it's a really nice way of getting Master of Diversion in or Clandestine if you didn't choose that one already. And you can have We Are Alfarius as your stratagem and then have a warlord trait of I Am Alfarius, which is a nice bit of English, as it were. Yeah, stratagems are all really cool. Lots of tricks and things to help play around with stuff.
Set them up again following the usual deployment rules. Yeah, it's really good.
So
I'm just trying to think of a situation. Yeah, I mean, if you really needed to take Clandestine on something else, you take that and then pay the CP. But I'm just trying to work out, like, I've forgotten all of the normal Chaos Space Marine warlord traits.
you can probably forget them. I've got them here. You can reroll wound against Space Marines. There's if you roll a 6+ to wound, you do mortal wound in addition to other damage. You get +1 wound and a 6 on a pain. You can reroll wound rolls of 1 for your warlord.
Yep.
Your opponent must roll an extra dice when taking morale tests and use the highest, and add 1 to your attack characteristic.
Yeah. What about Shadow Spear warlord traits?
I think they were Black Legion only in that update.
No, because all of you can take loads of different warlord traits on, like the Master Possessions and stuff.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was.
So yeah, I'm just trying to think of a situation where you pay for 2 because it came to my mind when I was reading the Raven Guard supplement. When I saw the warlord traits, I was like, oh wow, like really, you want to be able to take like 3 of these, and suddenly you could. So it was like the stratagems to take multiple warlord traits actually like had some benefit. I'm just trying to figure out whether you would pay a CP to take an additional warlord trait for them.
I think you would if you've got a Disco Lord, and if you've got then I think you always take Clandestine, and then I think Master of Diversion for 1 CP is really good.
Yeah.
Or even I Am Alfarius to deny it, and then you pay your CP for a useful trait.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess if you were gonna take Alpha Legion, this is just my opinion as well. If you're gonna take Alpha Legion and play them to what is in this book, like specifically craft an army that takes advantage of all of the stratagems and everything that are in here, you would take I Am Alfarius and then pay for Master of Diversion as well, because the whole point is just it's almost like complete and utter trickery and board control and points denying, and so yeah, like I Am Alfarius, so you're obviously denying Warlord. Like yeah.
Fair enough. So, moving on to the artifacts. The first one, Great Scale Plate, infantry model only. You get a 2+ save, and when you lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, you get a 5 up on a pain. I don't like this one for much the same reasons that I don't like a lot of the other defensive 2-up save relics, that it's infantry model only.
Mm-hmm.
So just take Terminator armor if you want that.
Yeah.
And the 5-up against mortal wounds, you don't really want your warlords or your characters tanking mortal wounds. So, yeah.
Yeah, I pretty much agree.
Next up, sorry.
Specifically on the mortal wound thing, like, even if you were using your character to tank mortal wounds, like, tanking mortal wounds usually implies you're putting something out front to, like, suck up all the damage from, like, Thousand Suns psychic phases and stuff like that, in which case a 5-up against mortal wounds is not going to save you.
No,
Regardless.
this would probably need to be a 3-up or a 4-up to be interesting.
Yeah.
So next up is Mind Veil, which is just a weird, terrible relic. At the start of your movement phase, if a model with this relic is on the battlefield, roll 3d6. Until the end of the phase, the model's movement characteristic equal to result. And it sort of gets pseudo fly, can move over terrain in the movement and charge phases.
Yeah.
And it can charge in a turn where they can fall back. This is weird and confusing, and I have to ask why you don't take wings on a demon print or fly with a or a jetpack with a Chaos Lord / Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Because it's got a not inconsiderable chance of just gimping your movement.
What are you averaging on that? It's
10 and a half.
Yeah, 10.5, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, why would, if you needed movement like that, just take a Lord with a jump pack?
Yeah.
Or a Demon Prince with wings.
Yeah, it's odd.
And even then, if you were like, oh yeah, I'll save the 24 points for wings on a Demon Prince, well, you could just roll 3 ones.
Yes. And that's going to have a much bigger damage.
Yeah.
I want to see that happen now to someone that's not me. Next up is, I think it's fair to say, an auto-take relic. Once per battle, at the start of the battle round, if a model with this relic is on the battlefield, the relic is Hydra's Well, sorry, it can activate the Hydra's Well. Until the end of the battle round, when your opponent spends a command point to use a stratagem, roll a d6 on a full plus. The opponent must spend 1 extra command point to use that stratagem. You don't sound convinced.
Okay. If I was an Alpha Legion player, I would be screaming yes. From a non-Alpha Legion player, with the guise of playing against Alpha Legion, I absolutely hate these rules with a vengeance.
There's no way for Chaos to get something like this. At least they can't double stack it with the Calexis, Calidus, Assassin, whichever one it is.
Yeah,
that has similar effects.
That is true. The problem that I always have with stuff like this, that is that there's no counter to it at all.
I mean, there's
the counter to it is to not spend command points, which could potentially just lose you the game then and there. In which case, that isn't a counter.
The only time I played against something like this, I was playing against Max, and he had brought the Assassin, which had this ability. And I found a really good counter to it was just forget about it and then boss all of the rolls. But I wouldn't recommend that as a strategy.
I also played against Max with Grey Knights. So my already overcosted stratagems cost even more. It was horrible.
Max still beat me in that game, I think, from memory.
It's an incredibly good rule and a really good stratagem.
Especially if you don't have to use it first turn.
Yeah, that's
if you are facing something like GC or Cult that might be using a lot of their things second turn when their deep striking stuff comes in.
At the start of the battle round as well, so
you can use it if you go second if you want.
Yeah, if you were going second, this is incredible. Like, especially if you're going up against like another Chaos Space Marine army or like Orcs or something like that, because or
Anything
even
that really
like
front
Tyrannus Knights, like
loads
you
them,
get
basically.
yeah
Tau. Tau's
yeah
done huge a
Tau's
lot.
good as well, but I was thinking more like you can bait like the Green Tide and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So if like I don't know, end of turn 2 and you're going second and it's going into turn 3, they've lost like tons of their Orcs and they're going to Green Tide them next turn, and they've specifically saved the CP to do that.
Yeah, then you suddenly make their ability
Yeah.
activate on a 4+ in effect.
Yeah, and then you just activate it straight away because you've got the last turn of the battle round, and then the next turn when they're going to do it, it's already active.
Hmm.
Now you can potentially just make them lose the game like then and there.
Yeah, I think you'll probably always use this turn 1 or turn 2, but
Yeah.
nothing stops you losing it later if the opponent's being like, okay, I'm going to save all my CP trickery for next turn, then why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
So next up we have Viper's Bite, one of the few ranged weapon upgrades. So this is the combi bolter Nathan mentioned earlier. It's range 24, rapid fire 2, strength 5, AP 3, damage 2. I kind of like it. If you've got, I think particularly on a sorcerer that's hanging in the back giving buffs, this is quite good. It's not something I run out and buy, but I can see myself spending a CP on this from time to time.
Oh, actually, do you is the thing to target characters a warlord trait? I think it is, isn't it?
Yes. So
Yeah,
you could combine the two.
Yeah, so you could not only could you combine the two, it's called Headhunter. You could pay the CP to take Master of Diversion and Headhunter, and then take that as your relic to have it on a unit that can deep strike, come down 24 inches, and then just snipe a character out because it's 24-inch range. So if you come down within 12 inches, then you get 4 shots.
Or if you're beta boltering, then you got the 24-inch on the Terminator.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 24-inch on the Terminator. Strength 5 -3, flat 2 damage, and mortal wounds on 6s.
Mortal wounds on 6s. Oh yes, from the warlord trait.
Yeah, from the warlord trait. Yeah, I think it's all right. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think a lot of combi bolter upgrades tend to not get picked, but I think this could be an exception.
Yeah, I like it.
So speaking of bolter weapon relics, Hydra's Teeth. You give to a model with a bolt weapon. Attacks with this weapon automatically hit the target and wound on a 2+ unless it's targeting a vehicle or a Titanic, in which case it wounds on a 6. Units do not receive the benefit of cover. I do not like this relic.
Nah.
It's sort of... I'm trying to think where it's useful, like against something with negative to hit that's also infantry and tough.
Yeah. It's also, it has to be a bolt weapon as well, so you can't like... Yeah, I'm not a fan at all.
Yeah. The combi bolter that wounds on a 2+ is the best case for it, and you can't target vehicles or Titanics where you'd normally wound them maybe on a 5, you're wounding them on a 6. But yeah.
The next one's actually quite interesting.
Oh really? Okay. So model with a power sword or force sword, you get strength 1, AP 3, damage D3. When resolving an attack made against the bearer, subtract 1 from the hit roll.
So you give him clandestine, and then all of a sudden your character's -3 to hit.
At range.
Yeah, at range.
Yeah, -2 to hit in combat is still quite nice. I'd actually consider combining the two, because my first thought was I looked at the relic and thought it probably doesn't do enough damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, the -2 to be hit.
I mean,
you
actually,
have your chaos duelist or something.
Yeah, for a power sword relic, it's actually probably one of the best ones. I'm not even talking about the ability, just the stats. +1 strength is great because
Yeah.
it brings it up to strength 5. AP -3 is great. D3 damage is, well, it basically turns Power Sword into a force weapon.
Yeah.
So, but then yeah, stacking the minuses to hit, like that's really cool.
So that's it for Alpha Legion. Although we will do the our name generators.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've got some really good stuff in all 3 categories.
Yeah.
They perhaps don't have quite the same power as some of the others that we've seen, but the fact that they get good stuff in all things is good, and the fact that it's not requiring a specific build. I think a lot of time there's a lot of stuff that benefits infantry, but it can be any infantry. It's not like it's only on cultists or only on obliterators or something.
Yeah, the only issue I'm having with, because my knowledge of Chaos Space Marines goes as far as like Demon Engine heavy lists, because that's what my Red Corsairs is. I'm trying to think of an army that you could bring, or units that you would bring in an army for Alpha Legion that would benefit from all of the stuff.
So I ran Alpha Legion up until their nerf in terms of not being able to their forward operative nerf, which is when they went from moving it up to 9 inches compared to deploying it anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches away.
Yep.
And the units I was running at that time were cultists, were berserkers, were obliterators, and I think all of those still work. I think what's interesting about Alpha Legion is perhaps their biggest competitors are Red Corsairs, in that I think what Alpha Legion worked quite well as is having lots of infantry units, and therefore my immediate thought was a battalion. And the question will be if you want an Alpha Legion battalion versus a Red Corsairs battalion. And they offer very different things.
Yeah.
The Alpha Legion's got more tricksy, more movement things, whereas the Red Corsairs are just a CP farm typically. So it's an interesting choice. The list I immediately thought of planning to run, which is more Iron Warriors, benefits more from having the Red Corsairs. But the Alpha Legion tricks, I think, work well, and it's certainly something that I'm going to be trying going forward.
I think the rules are super strong. I really like it. I would be really interested in playing an Alpha Legion army. I just quite can't right now. I can't off the top of my head pinpoint any unit where I go, oh yeah, that would be really good. Apart from just mass cultist spam.
And I can't wait to do sabotaged armory on someone.
Yeah, that's well.
So I'm going to roll for my Alpha Legion character name.
Go on.
So I've
Is
got.
It just I wanted. Hold on, just one sec. I wanted to scroll because I was still looking at the relics, so I wanted to scroll down to the Alpha Legion name generator and for all of them just to be called Alpharis.
That'd be brilliant. But I didn't get anything. I got Silas Inerus.
Okay, let me.
I've got. Sounds like a sort of Roman general.
So 64.
There is a Alpharis.
56. I'm Hamar. What was it? 56.
Alopteryx.
Yeah, Hamar Alopteryx.
Fair enough.